You're listening to the Who is Christine Anyway podcast, season 2. Enjoy.
Do you think it took you, so obviously amongst the gamer community, you have built a level of a reputation and trust for producing, and I don't mean like producing, I mean like creation of producing. You have built such a, I don't even like strong, it's like a great foundation within that field.
I'm still building it. I appreciate that.
You're going to always build it, but like you really are, like you've got the right bricks.
I'm trying, like I think one of the things that really helps is that I truly care about advancing other people's careers when I believe in them. So I just believe in giving people opportunities. I really like to, I'm not a perfect person to work with, but at the core of me, that is something that I could never argue with somebody about, that I know is true about myself, is that I want other people to succeed. So like, I really like creating opportunities. I love the idea of like succeeding more and more so I can create more and more opportunities for people. That matters a lot to me. So I feel like that actually like plays a big role in advancing yourself, just being positive about things and like caring about other people as much as you care about yourself. I think all that stuff really matters. And then people who are very caught up in themselves and how they come off and like what can be done for them on an individual level. I think that, I don't know, it stifles people and they don't realize it. They think that they're actually winning, but they're actually, they're stifling their progress towards greater things. So I think that's part of it. And then also too, like, I'm just myself. Like every person I meet in the game industry so far, I've been myself authentically.
You're unapologetically yourself is the best way to really describe you. Like even outside of the game industry too, like anybody who has encountered you, they generally, I don't want to say, not that I've been like asking around, but like anybody who has encountered you, I have never heard them say anything different than what I would say, that you are authentic. And I don't find you difficult to work with. Like I am.
I'm not being difficult. Trust me, I'll take responsibility for it.
I find you unequivocal and direct, and I
appreciate that. I was a tough noogie, so to speak, in my early days with music. You probably get this a lot too. I just expected people to care about everything that I do as much as I do, and it never lined up. It never lined up with other people. I rarely ever came into contact with people like that until my last iteration of Binary Code. Like my last crew that I had with PJ and Oded and Austin, and like even like a couple years before that, like everybody was on the same page and like was militantly into succeeding together as a team. And like that was an amazing thing for us. And like we did our best music that way, like as a group, because of that. And I'm still kind of that way. It's like one of my greatest flaws, I think, is like expecting other people to understand or like perceive things exactly how I do. And it frustrates me when that doesn't happen. But
I think, so I have a similar issue, which sounds kind of, and I'm not making it about me. It's definitely not that. So that sentimentality to what you talk about, that's the best way to put it. It's like a sentimental investment. And that like, that has been a huge lesson for me to learn in the past couple of years, is detaching that sentimental investment from certain things and other things, because they stifle my abilities. And that sounds so self-serving, but it's not. It's that concept of like, this is just a job. This is not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of mentality that is what got me out of that small town to begin with. This is not just a whole, this is bigger. And it was one of those things where I get that a lot too, where people go like, well, she's really, well, she's harsh, or she's mean, or she's, this, or she's that, or, there's always misconceptions sometimes. And I'm like, I'm really not, I'm just telling you exactly how this is going to go. Follow the goddamn day sheet. It's one of those things. Right. It's like, it's just right here. Like, it just sounds better. It looks better. You have positions, just follow this. If this doesn't work after we do this, then we regroup. And I can imagine you as a musician with such musicianship and, diversity, and, you have such a range of like creativity, and it's unending. It really is, which is fantastic. It's like a bottomless well. So I think that's probably why you're at that point where people are looking at you and going like, I want what he has, because what you're doing, it's, everyone prefers a rising sun to a setting moon. And
that's a good way to put it.
Sometimes I am really lyrical.
You ever thought about getting into music? No, I appreciate everything you're saying.
I heard everyone's an asshole.
Yeah, just a little bit. or at least everybody's dumb, as I mentioned.
Yeah, we're all just dumb and we're just hanging out and doing drugs and stuff.
No, I appreciate everything you're saying. The thing that's really cool too is I'm like mostly known for doing metal stuff, and that's kind of like
Yeah.
where people see me. And the thing that's really cool about this Riot soundtrack in particular is I'm getting to do genres people didn't know that like I can do as fluently as metal. So like I did this one track for a character that's like it's pretty shreddy. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably the hardest guitar music I've ever written. Like Doth is really hard. I would consider Doth like boss level difficult. I would say that this is like that boss that can't be beaten that everybody bitches about in the forums. Like this track in particular is that track. It's very difficult, but it's also like bluegrass and Looney Tunes era type of mid-century composition. There's like dirty loops kind of vibes to it. Like it's really it's like very out of left field for me, but also I haven't heard anything like it that's been written before. So it's cool for me to like to do something where I'm like, I haven't heard anything like this before. And I'm super proud of that one because nobody's going to believe that it's me if they even care enough to look. If they saw my name, they'd be like, what, really? The guy from the metal world guy? And even like some of the other characters that I've done, like Ari, which is she's been announced and like the music's already like public. That track in particular is like very not metal. There's no metal in it whatsoever. It's just kind of anime centric. Like saccharine has been like a term that we've used for it. Like it's got like a very kind of like playful nature to it. It's also like kind of like romantic in some ways. So like it's just different for me, but also like it doesn't sound like a 1990s like romance movie soundtrack. It sounds like its own thing. So it's really cool to be able to do that. And the way that you can get to a point of doing that, and I always like when I talk to like, colleges or students about these things, I always tell them like, just listen to a lot of music. That's how you get good at making music, is listen to a lot. You don't have to be able to do a lot, but you need to be able to hear a lot. So when you're given a reference, you can connect dots. It's almost like having like a food palette. Like if somebody was like, yeah, man, chocolate and onions, they go perfectly together. You'd be like, dude, what? Don't say that. That's gross. I don't even want to think about that. You're like, no, you can't do that. And then somebody out there's gonna be like, you can make it work if you do it with like this amount of weird science. It's like, okay, cool. That guy's.
I really feel like that's like a chocolate potato chip reference to perfection. Like when people initially.
1,000%. You're exactly right. Yep.
Like when they first came out, they're like, look, it's a Lay's dipped in chocolate. And you're like, the chip's not crunchy. Something's missing. It's soggy in the middle. And then someone took a kettle cooked chip and they just like, look, this is the small tweak. Did it. I listened to, what people were feeding back. And now I've got the perfect chocolate covered chip.
Yeah. Using chocolate chip is a reference. I'm going to ape that. And I'm going to also make sure that I credit you for that, because I always like to credit where info comes from. That is perfect.
It's one of those things where it's testing the market is what it is. And it's, we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And I really think people fail that sometimes. And I'm guilty.
Said that.
What'd you say?
I had to count when you said that. I was like, do I have 2 ears?
Well, most of the time we have two. Most of the time. But when I was a kid, my grandma used to joke saying, you have SHD. I'm like, what's that? She's like, selective hearing disorder.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, no, I was just really being defiant, but okay.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with being defiant. You're just bored with the other things that are being said.
But it's amazing, though, because that lesson right there, to listen twice as much as you talk, just like you talk about, like you need to listen and you'll understand. And it's kind of weird because, so I didn't take classic band in school, and I took chorus. I took like a gajillion years of chorus and vocal lessons and all these things and read sheet music and all the things. But I could not do a lot of like music instrumentation in terms of like brass or ensemble or any of those or jazz band. But I could sit and I could be like, that's off, that's sharp, that's flat, because you listen to it over and over and over. It's the same thing with like vocals, or like people like I haven't seen a single pitch pipe for people singing in a while. Maybe I'm just because where I live, maybe Santa's workshop needs to get on that. But like, I haven't seen much of that. And I'm like, do you guys understand that? Like they blow the pitch pipe and that is the key where you need to be. Like that's where they're starting you. And that's how they trained me vocally in school, was like, they would either do it on the piano, hitting the same, like everyone get on this, and we'd have to hum that notation. And then she would hush us. And then we'd begin the song, but we'd be on because we were verbalizing and hearing that I don't want to say vibration of the song, but it kind of just almost goes down into your sternum. It's like, I don't
Right.
want to say balancing chakras. It makes me sound like I'm, doing something holistic over here. Ignore my aromatherapy. But the fact is it would be holistically into your chest so that when you would become singing, it'd be like, okay, so I heard this, I absorbed this, I learned this. And I don't see that type of teaching as much anymore. And I won't say you're of the generation I am, but you are. We're around the same age. So it's one of those things where that is a phenomenal lesson that needs to come back more, and that it almost needs to become biblical. And I love that you're on such an ascension up to a level. I really hope that you become a syllabus at some point.
Whoa.
Why?
You want me
Whoa.
to become a syllabus?
A syllabus, like, yeah, like your entire ideology, theology, and theoryology, whatever, on what you do, as well as the process and your career and the movement through it, is syllabus worthy, especially with all the things that you've said in these conferences, these meetings, these things, and how you've progressed and understood. You should be firm in your goal but flexible in your methods, is exactly the thought process that needs to go forward. So if your goal is to have a character that is a certain way, okay, try it this way. Okay, we didn't like it, we had to go back that way. But in order to decide to change differently, you had to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so weird. Like while you're telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, I get scared thinking about giving people advice to do things the way that I did them, because I just don't know. I don't trust that there are, like, I know a lot of people who are really like dedicated to things, but it's like, I feel like my perspective of like achieving things in music isn't conducive for getting onto a record label per se, but it's really conducive for making big soundtracks for things. Does that make sense? Like, it's like,
It makes perfect sense, but I'm also going to go back to you, and I'm going to challenge that and say we are no longer in the era of the label.
yeah, of course. And
It's
like, there's a place for them, and
it's great because now it's almost like a return to roots. Does that make sense? Like music was never meant, I don't say never meant to be commercialized. It's been commercialized since the dawn of time. But what it morphed into was almost mutation level. So to have it go back now to be owned by the artist, and I'm finding that like when we say cream of the crop, the people that are consistently like sticking on, like Hans Zimmer, he's still kicking around, and so he does amazing stuff too. When we talk about composers and stuff like that, you are noticing it's not the culture that it used to be. So you're right. Maybe this stuff wouldn't get you on a label, sure, because people are looking for pancake mix that can be mass produced for labels.
right.
They want a high producing cow that's going to give a ton of milk. They don't want a really great looking show cow.
That's interesting. I agree with everything you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like everyone's just like, this is Bessie. She makes like 300 gallons of milk or whatever. But I don't know.
If you just tuned in,
I don't talk cow. Like I'm just, okay, we want to go to goats. We can do goats. I used to show goats. You have a Webby and I have a goat trophy.
oh my God. Oh man, I can't even.
I'd like to thank you for giving this underprivileged child the opportunity. No, but it's
you're outrageous.
I'd like to think about it like that. People, it's like going to a farm. Is this a meat farm or is this a pretty farm? Like these are show horses versus, whatever else. Like there's a difference between something being, we're looking for the perfect necklace versus we're looking to mass produce. Like mass production creates, revenue in a different way. But if you have just one beautiful thing, you can do just as much as somebody that mass produces with half or less than the work, but far more intellectual superiority or artistic capability.
I'd agree. I agree with that.
So it's a really interesting line to walk. It's like, so when somebody comes to you and they go, I really want to be signed to a label. It's like, do you really want to be signed to that label? Because that's how a lot of these, especially the bands you and I probably grew up with that couldn't get in the VFW before, became arena rock. Somebody approached them and said, we want to take you, but we're going to need you to mass produce, stomp, stomp, clap. Instead of doing what you want to do artistically. So no more catchy hooks, no more of this, no more of that. We need you to go into a love ballad right now because that's what's going to sell. It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, you're going to get told what to do a lot more. Depending on the label and like the level. I always feel like aspiring to be signed to a label is going to like stop you from getting signed to a label. But there are some people who like are willing to sacrifice on integrity to achieve that they actually can get it by wanting it. I, on the other hand, it's like I think the reason I wanted to be signed was because I just wanted like support, and it
Mhm.
I think I didn't realize that I was like building my own support system anyway, and wasn't totally
Yeah.
necessary. Like I do think in today's day and age, like unless you, the only reason you should want to get signed to a record label is because you've outgrown your ability to grow yourself. You know, like I can't grow myself any further. I'm at the ceiling. I need help. That's a good time to
You
reach
need a
out to them.
team. But that's,
Yeah.
you know what the thing is too, is that when you sign to a label, you're trusting that label to adopt a team for you that
Yep.
will meet your creative, artistic, or, expectation goals. And that may not be the case. And you may have very little control over that. And there has been a few artists that have approached me that, are on labels, and I go into the back ends of things, and there's kickback deals. They're like, okay, well, if you bring them to here, then this, or I double dip on the 360 deals. And there's been considerable issues. So, anybody who signs to a label, I'm a real big fan of, sign to a label, sure, but read your goddamn fucking contract. Read your contract and make sure you're good with it, and make sure first of all, masters is a whole discussion you have with your attorney. Second of all, making sure the team is someone that you get to vet before they assign. I think that is super important. Like if someone said, oh, we're having Tiffany from the copy machine run your marketing, it's like,
Yep.
I would like to meet Tiffany. I'd like to know if she shares the goal.
Yeah.
So
The thing too about like with record labels too is like getting to the stage where you can understand how the record label can like detrimentally affect your career, or how like you
Mhm.
could, fuck yourself down the road. It requires like thinking differently about getting to that point in the first place. So like the people who are just like, I just want to get signed, I want a tour, I want endorsements, all that stuff. They're not thinking about like the other side of things because they're so fixated on like the romantic perspective of being in a band.
romanticism. They're
Yeah.
romanticizing it. And it's, I understand a lot of it. And I think a lot of it, I don't want to say clout chasing, but it sounds harsh. It's like, oh, well, we can say that
Totally.
you were on this. I do understand the value of putting it on your Wikipedia page that you were once signed to yada yada records. But at the same time,
Who are you referencing? Come on, be honest.
it could be anything. It really
Yeah.
could be like,
I was hoping we were going to get some band outed. I'm just kidding.
oh man. Are you on me and the lamb goat comments too?
No, dude, just voice note me later.
I'll voice note you all the shit talk later. And we'll chop it up and put it in just randomly. And just have people like, we'll get like the Swifty force of people on here, like trying to piecemeal this entire conversation as
Keep
like
a
a
spreadsheet
subliminal
on it.
message.
Wrongdoers.
It's Valentine's Day. You better get moving, get on with your day, have a wonderful
Oh,
day.
yes.
We'll
Yeah,
catch up
we'll
again
do this
soon.
again. You hit me up.
Fun.
I'll be here again another time.
Yeah. Oh, naturally, of course. And I will see you again soon. I'm sure. I hope so. Maybe you can come up here when we're not under 40 feet of snow.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I will show,
totally.
and I'll take you to
I'll
see
hit
the
up Santa.
workshop.
That's the only reason I'd go up there. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I'm just kidding.
Me or the workshop?
Santa? Come on. I've already told you.
I love when you
so-
said that too. Like Santa. Like, why would I be
So-
there for you?
my uncle Chuck, he looks like me, but with all white. Like he's got white beard, white hair.
You're
he-
destined.
I know. So, and we look so much like, and I've been graying since I was in fourth grade. So like, I'm like getting there slowly but surely. He used to play, I have a kid sister. She's 18. I'm 38. We're 20 years apart. He used to play Santa Claus for my little sister on the phone. And it was the coolest shit ever. I was like, I wish I had that when I was a kid. He used to like pretend to be Santa Claus and like
You
say,
can
like,
do that now. Like it's like
so good.
there's a whole website. Like
Oh, there's some AI Santa.
no, it's been around since before AI was really big. It's like PNC or something like that, like Personal North, whatever. Or I don't know,
no,
something like that. And like Santa will call you, like, and I would straight like message them like, kid didn't clean room. So like Santa
I
come
love
like,
that.
yo, you didn't clean.
Use it all
Like,
year. I would use it all year. This is why I'd be a bad parent. I'd be like, the kid didn't do his
That's
things
not
like
bad
every week.
parenting. That's good parenting.
Right? Dude, Santa's got to build that kid up. Listen, you don't just start coaching, in the finals. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to
That's
coach
true.
somebody all the way up. So Santa
I'm
Claus
really
can be
trying to keep the mental health system alive and thriving on top of working in the music industry. So I really need to
the
give
Santa mental health care system.
No, but I assume my children will probably need therapy if Santa's calling in September and it's like making death threats. I shouldn't even say death threats, but
Is that Santa Claus? Wait a second. Did Santa Claus used to give you death threats when you would go sit on Santa's lap at the mall?
I told you we were East Catholic.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you don't do your homework. Your mother told me.
Santa was pagan.
Oh no. All right, yeah, well, don't pass that down to the kids. Like Santa.
Oh, God, no.
Santa's threats should be, well, I don't know what kids play with these days, but like, oh, we're gonna take away your bubble popping thing.
They play with those fairies that fly into the sky right into the fireplace.
What?
Yeah, look that. I'll voice note you it.
Yeah, send me. I have no earthly idea what you just said. It sounds made up.
Oh, it's real. They make these fairies that just fly up and they just go right into the fireplace by accident.
Sounds like something my mom would like. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh, I'm on air with your mom.
Yeah, my mom's a fairy fan, so.
Oh my God, you could tour. Oh, never. All right, get going. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for coming on here.
My pleasure.
And I will talk to you soon.
Much love. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Who is Christine Anyway podcast. Visit www.whoischristineanyway.com for access to all the social media links and additional podcast episodes. A special thank you goes out to Jesse Zuretti for appearing on this episode. I hope he comes back on soon to continue the conversation. Also, thank you to the audience for listening. It's greatly appreciated.